Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
We're Heatstroke.
Heatstroke. I actually really like the name. Before I get into my question, where did that name come from? That is so cool.
We had when we were trying to come up with a name, we all wrote down like a list of
I think we all put forth about 20, and there was no way that three of us were going to agree at any point.
Yeah. So then I just came up with Heatstroke, and we all just settled on it. Really. Sure.
The Beatles was already taken, so we had to go that.
Right. It's a great name. It's fun. I'm like, okay, I like it. It's different. It's very different. I love that. So I love starting to going back to the beginning of just, our childhoods. I always say that the childhood kind of all the things that we our little habits, the things that we pick up kind of charts our trajectory in life, our little things that, that we are interested in somehow follow us when we're older. So tell me a little bit about your childhood, and you can go individually and then kind of go that way. And then just kind of how did you guys, find each other? And then how did you guys find your way into music?
All right.
You want to start Gabe? Want to go from Gabe?
Yeah, I guess I can go first. I guess my childhood, I grew up with a single mom and my grandparents. So I listened to a lot of that classic rock, Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, still one of my favorite bands to this day. As they all know, they hate me for it, but it is what it is. So growing up with that, I was also exposed to my mom's music as well. So that early 2000s pop and some of that rock more. But one of my all-time favorite artists, and he's still to this day, even though that I'm in to that rock scene now, is Michael Jackson. I just that his style, the way he captivated his stages, his moves and stuff like that. So I guess as I grew a little bit older, I still loved Michael Jackson, and then I got kind of into Bruno Mars, and that transitioned into more of the rock as I got into high school. I know he's not rock, but and even going to that classic vibe, Sam Cooke. So those are some of my musical influences and how I grew up listening to music. I don't know, Troy.
Yeah. I was, I guess, into music before I can remember. I know one of the first stories my dad always tells me is being in our boat going up to our camp, our cottage. I'm not sure what I know our second residence is on a lake. It's really nice, but I don't know whatever you want to call it. But would be in the boat, and AC/DC, the live CD from Donington was in the little player, and Thunderstruck was always the first song, and I would just sit there at 2-3 years old and go again, play it again. So it grasped me from as early as I can remember. Started collecting records when I was 6 years old, and just trying to grow my knowledge in the history of rock, really. And then started playing drums. I got my drum kit for Christmas in 2012, so I was 9 years old still.
Oh.
And I've been playing ever since, and then found these guys in 2021 and just been rolling.
Love that.
I grew up listening to my dad's music. I didn't really have a choice, actually. When I was in grade 7 and 8, I was into all the mainstream music, pop and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually my dad was just like, no, you like this stuff. And I do. He's like, oh, you're right. Every time we were in the car, he would always just play it. Blasted. Right. I think I listened to Stairway to Heaven actually 60 times maybe in my childhood, maybe a year. 60 times a year in my childhood. Yeah.
Wow.
I always when I started playing guitar, I always use this black Fender that my dad had, and he played in his band. And I always thought that was the coolest thing, even though he was just a little garage band when he was young. And I always looked up to that, so I started playing it and just wanted to be just like him. So
Oh, I love that.
that's
There we go, there we go.
there it is.
Cool. Yeah. So same thing with me. My dad is always really big into music, more on like the hard rock, heavy metal side. So that's what I was exposed to when I was very young, and always in the car. So I've been wrestling forever. My dad was my wrestling coach, so
Oh,
I was
cool.
with my dad a lot, always going to wrestling practice every day a week, and we were always listening to heavy metal and stuff, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, all that sort of thing, all the friggin' time, and it sort of developed a fondness for that. I just always itched to be on stage and just be a rock star and all that. So then I got, for Christmas one year, I got a Guitar Hero, and I played Guitar Hero so much that the guitar ended up becoming in terrible shape, and the squeaking of the little stick was terrible. It was so annoying, but I played it so much. So my mom was just like, F it. The next Christmas, she got me my first guitar, a little Yamaha guitar, and that was in like grade 7 or 8. And started playing then, really noodling around, not really knowing what's up. And then in high school, and I got to grade 9, I saw that there's actually a band class where it's not your typical like classical music band. It's after exams every year, you audition and then you make the band like a rock band. And what it was, you were graded on making originals. And at the end of the semester, we'd go out on tour throughout Ontario and just play gigs.
Nice.
And I was in grade 9. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So then I just really dove into playing guitar, and I auditioned that the end of that semester, end of that school year, and I got in grade 10. And I did that throughout grade 10 to 12, and it was super, super fun. And then I graduated and had nothing to do with music, but always listening to it. So I had an itch to get back into it. And I worked with Orion at a outlet store in the mall, and he knew some guys and sort of put us all together. And we
I love that. That's awesome. Like I always say, that's amazing because you guys seem like you like know each other forever. Like just like how you guys get along. It's so cool. Like I can imagine like forming a band. I just would be like, personality differences and then how to mesh everything together. I think that's the part that I find very fascinating about bands.
It's honestly, it's really hard.
We've experienced no challenges whatsoever. It's been fantastic.
I love it.
That brotherly love. We love each other, but we hate each other at the same time.
It works. It somehow works. I think that's beautiful. Which one? My question now, is talk about your single. Like, I love the title to that. Like, where did that come from? And how do you guys like? Tell me about the process, but also how do you guys come like to a decision of like, okay, this is what we're going to make, and this sounds good, and like you guys are all in agreement. Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the writing process is fun because what we'll kind of do is we'll get a pool of songs together, and that was kind of our first time we did that. Turned out to be Empire Statement, and we've done it again since, and we've got pretty much everything to go for our second album ready. But it all comes in like a little frame, like a time frame, and then once you get out of that writing session, you kind of write a little bit less. But with Times Square,
I think Times Square was one of the
first.
first.
It was probably the first song that I had the goal of presenting to these guys when I met them. Nice. I wrote it in May of 2021, initially called "Come Back Soon." It was just a song after my first heartbreak.
Oh.
And it didn't have a chorus. It was just words. It was just senseless drivel at the beginning. But then I showed it to Orion first. We kind of like figured out some guitar parts for it. And we were like, okay, we got something here. Like this could be kind of cool. And then just refined it. Took probably spent the better part of 6-7 months doing that, just refining, because we had a full recording of all of us playing it, thinking we were good to go, and then we've just added a bridge, added the second guitar solo, just kept adding stuff and taking stuff out. But but yeah, that's where the whole thing really came from. And then once we decided that we were going to do the concept album, we had to make little tweaks. So it couldn't really be about, you know, my heartbreak in Sudbury, Ontario. It had to be, I had to change some stuff around and make it applicable to the album. But
And now it's a song about.
No, I think that's really cool, the process. And I love it. Sounds really fun. It's like it's a different sound, and it's like I loved it. I played it on the speaker in the house. I was like, wow, it sounds really good. It's great quality. Like I just love that. And so it took 7 months to make. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'd say like that also was probably one of the ones that we I just kept coming back to it because I liked it so much from the beginning that I needed to keep refining. And like maybe some other songs would have been like, now that I feel like I've got my groove for how I write a song a little bit more than I did when I wrote the first album. I might have spent more time on some other ones to improve them, but that was probably the first one that I got to the point that, okay, I am very happy with where this is, and I've got like I just had the vision very clear right away. But
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you guys chime in as well, as like as far as like I'm curious, like do you have like individual taste of like things that you guys want to talk about as far as like musically as well? Like, oh, what about this topic? Or maybe this is what I'm feeling, or this is what I'm like going through, and then you put it in, you know,
I'd
they
say
run it by
like
you.
that's like I'd say for topics it typically goes song by song. So
Okay.
somebody will come forth with either a melody, maybe a couple lyrics, and then we say, okay, like this is what I have so far. You know, this is the story I want to tell with this song, and the rest of the guys we typically just build on top of that to make it one kind of final story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get that. Do you guys feel like it's the music world is like, as I mean now, I mean it's so music's so saturated, right? And then, you know, just to getting on the charts and the things that you have people you have to compete with, and then there's a bunch of different bands and sounds, and you know, like how do you guys like what keeps you motivated as far as like to continue to make music, even though it's kind of a little bit competitive to get your work out there these days?
I think we just all have so much fun playing. And
That's good.
the more we get to play, the more, in essence, the competition as well is fun. Like
Yeah.
being a race to the top, quotes,
Yeah.
is what drives us. The more that people like us, the more that we're inspired to make more music that we want to show people, hoping that they'll like it. And it's just a repeating cycle of over and over again. And that's what I feel is driving us.
having said that too, though, I think I've said it before, but I don't know if music should be like I agree with Hunter in that the race is fun, but after we did our first Battle of the Bands competition in our hometown, we won it, but that we realized I realized anyway that like music really shouldn't be a competition, because like we listened to music all day. I was like, I enjoyed every band in their own right, and someone, if they really like something, it's there's no reason why they can. It's not like sports, right? It's not like you can like one team and not another. You want you to win, your team to win all the time. It's like you can like Led Zeppelin and the Who and Aerosmith, and you can put all those bands together and you can say, I like them all.
Yeah.
So I like that about the arts, is that it's not exactly a competition for the best, but competition for the sort of fake illusion numbers that are at the top. Right? But,
that part, yeah.
At the same time, like for me, as the only reason I'm going to keep writing songs is if I've got something to say. Because I mean, you can make all the music in the world and you're using chords that have already been used before, but you're writing something new and something that means something to you.
Yeah.
So as long as the lyrics are there, I'm not ending anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always, yeah, I love that. As long as you're enjoying it and you love what you're doing, I think that's what is the most important thing about creating. And I think that's what creators do. We just put stuff out that we enjoy and hope for the best, right? And then, you know, that's kind of how films are. I mean, in the film world, in my background, it's like I had to like let go of, you know, the just like, I can't be scared, I'm just gonna put it out there, because you just never know. You just never know. So I'm curious, do you guys feel like the music world is changing for the better for artists in more favor of like in sorts of like, are there more opportunities for artists now versus, I mean, back then, of course, it was a little difficult. And I mean, I can imagine. And then just the things that other artists had to deal with years ago. But now we're in like, the age of AI and things are just
I think it's
online.
I think it's way harder. I mean, I think about the British, like the blues rock scene. Everyone who knew how to make music was getting swept up by labels. So it was right there for you. If you were good at it and you were in the right place, right time, you were good.
With that being said, though, you talk about how everyone was getting swept up way back then, but there's also so many more opportunities for artists to potentially go on like the indie circuit or something like that. So with, social media and like, I guess like TikTok and Instagram reels and stuff like that, right? You're putting out your videos or your content, and then you never know where it's going to go. You could put out one video that this is going to flop, but then all of a sudden you get a ton of likes and, a ton of views, and then it could skyrocket. It could not, you know what I mean? So I think, well, yes, it has gotten harder to get maybe signed to a label. There are other potential opportunities within the industry to break out, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's a really good time, I think, for like entertainment as a whole. Yeah, so that's exciting. That's really fun. I love asking this question. And I'm just everybody has a different answer, but if you guys could be managed by any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a good question. Oh my God.
Steve Marriott from Humble Pie.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
That's a good
No,
one.
that's I just think that everything that guy did for this whole career, that would be one of my biggest inspirations for sure.
Love that. What about you guys?
That's a really good question.
I have no answer. I'm not.
I know what yours would be.
You tell me.
Tattoo of them, probably. No?
The Burton?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking for you, probably.
I don't know. As a manager? Yeah, in a sense, I guess like anyone from the Metallica gang, they really not knew what they were doing in a sense, but they really did follow their gut when they first started. And it was never about trying to impress people. It was more of they just really liked what they were doing, and they didn't really care what they thought. So maybe having someone who is sort of molding you into realizing that sort of thing might be a good leader.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think I'd say Peter Grant.
Oh,
That would be badass. Like imagine having a guy like that just managing you.
right?
And it would be funny too.
Right.
And he's got experience.
Tons of experience. Yeah. With a gun.
Definitely. And your answer? Do you have one?
I honestly, yeah, I guess Michael Jackson. I guess because he did some producing.
Prince would be a good answer.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Prince would be another really fun one. Or
Yeah, you would
up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say those probably. Yeah, maybe even like you saw. I mean, he's kind of poppy, but I guess maybe Usher or something like that. You've seen like he's gotten some people to fame. I don't know. It's but,
Justin Bieber, I think, or someone like that.
Yeah, like I guess he saw him on like YouTube or something like that. I'm not 100% sure how the story goes, but
I think it was YouTube. I think that he did find him on YouTube. He's like, hey, I like this guy.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe he'll find us on TikTok or something.
Yeah, Usher might do that.
I always say that, I find it, those are great. Those are really good names. I feel like, everyone, each individual can do something amazing, you know, in their own circle. Like for me, I always say that there could never be another Michael Jackson because like he was just so famous. Like he was like insanely famous. Like you know, there's fame, but there's just that other fame where he just had to wear mask and it was just got too crazy. And it's like how do you get to that level and be okay? So do you ever think about that? Like being so famous, like, you know, would it be overwhelming?
I do think of that a lot, actually. It because I just can't imagine what it's like. You can't imagine what it's like until it actually happens, and you don't know how you react to it all, and you know, being careful what you say and all that. There's a lot to think about, right?
Yeah.
I know
sideways.
I'd enjoy the ride for a while, but then I don't know how like I don't know how I'd take it over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess there would be that first moment of,
Oh, it would be unreal.
oh my God, I've made it. Like this is great. This is awesome. But then you constantly be chasing that second high because you get used to it over time, right? So I guess I think that's probably a lot of the reason why some artists don't do well when, like, after a while, or they suddenly seem to start struggling, I guess, a little more. Is just because they're still craving that first high they got when they, I guess, quote unquote, made it, right? Like that was, but and it's something that you'll probably never replicate again, right? So it's just, but I mean, that could also be used as good drive, right? If you're still constantly vying to get back there. So I feel like it would probably be great at first. It would suck a little kind of during the beginning, or sorry, the middle, sorry. And but at the end, I feel like we'd look back and be like, you know what, it was all worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like maybe running away from it.
Yeah.
Sometimes chasing it and just like then realizing, oh, this is way too much.
Yeah.
I just can't get away from it because there's stories of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we're up for it. I think we're up for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely. And you guys have each other. I think that's a wonderful thing where it's like versus like being just like by yourself and just try to handle all that. I think that would be absolutely, or just having, I don't know, a mentor, someone that can help like kind of keep you guys, you know, because listen, you guys are so talented. It's bound to happen for sure. I'm gonna be like, you know, I knew back when I interviewed them back in 2023. So I have a question for individual or together. But what advice would you give to someone that wants to just get into this industry, of music? Well, you know, that kid or that person that just like wants to give it a try. What would you say?
However far you take it, it'll have been worth it to learn it because it's so much fun. Once you learn how to play music, you don't really want to stop. You might take a break, but once you get to a point where you've got like some quality to you, yeah, you don't want to let that go.
It's a hobby for life.
Yeah.
Who do you know says, "Oh, I hate the fact I could play this instrument"? No. Who do you know that says that? You know, I don't know anyone. I think it's a very, 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 very small number, depending on their circumstances. But it's never not worth it to pick up an instrument, get started. Who knows? You might feel you might catch a bug after you make your first song. Then it's something special that I wish everyone can experience.
Yeah.
There was we played a festival this summer, and this is the Northern Lights Festival here in Sudbury, and there was like, we played our set, and we were just kind of around and hanging out, and you know, there were a couple, like there was one moment that I remember, and it was like, that was really, really awesome. But I was in the bathroom washing my hands for whatever reason, right? And
Probably
because I went to the washroom. And there was this little kid that was kind of washing his hands, and I could see him out of the corner of his eye looking up at me, and then he was like looking, going back to washing, looking, going back, and then he was just like, "I really like your music," and then he just ran away, and I was like, that was really cool. Like and there was I guess, going back to the question you asked, like, to inspire other people to write music would be ultimately like a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
Keep it going. And so I guess to really answer your question, I would say if you have a dream of writing music or getting into music, just start by writing a couple songs, right? See what you can do, learn to play a guitar or a piano or whatever you want to. And as soon as you can start writing lyrics and writing songs, right? It's
Just
see
go
where
for it.
see where it takes you, right? Like, and even if you just ultimately decide I don't want to be in the music industry, you've got songs, you got some stories to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like you went out, you went for it. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
anyone that I truly don't.
What I would give would be don't get influenced by the people around you. Like I have influences on guitar, but I wouldn't want to be exactly like them because then that wouldn't be my music. I wouldn't fit into Heatstroke if I was anyone else.
yeah,
People are gonna hate your music. Like people are not gonna like you as whatever instrument you play, and especially the guitar community, it's very toxic. And if you're good
wow.
at and I feel like you can just go so much further when you don't have those barriers of, oh, people are looking at me, people are judging me. Like, who cares?
I wouldn't say the entirety of the guitar community is toxic, but I mean there are a lot of people who like to hide behind a keyboard and just say, "Oh, you suck, you're playing that wrong. I would play it this way." But I mean, if you can get over the couple of, it's like Taylor Swift says, right? The haters gonna hate, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so if you can ignore the haters, I feel like it's definitely like it won't be too like, and it's a hard thing to say, right? But yeah, just ignore the haters. That's it.
Do what you want.
Just play for fun.
Do what you want.
Just like people are gonna enjoy it, people are gonna hate it. If you're playing for fun, you're enjoying it, then your music's gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I actually started out doing, before I got into film, I did music videos. So I shot a lot of music videos at the beginning of my career. And it's basically that I was just doing things that I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And then not knowing where it was going to take me. And then I remember having a pinch me moment in my career, and I worked with Billy Idol. And it was on a Billy Idol set, and he was just the most coolest guy ever. And we had conversations like when we were between takes, and we were there for 24 hours just shooting this thing with him. And he had so much energy, and I'm just like, why do you keep doing it? I was so curious. And he said, honestly, I just love what I do. I really enjoy it. And I think that's the perspective. That's what it is. Like at the end of the day, it's like, as long as you love it and enjoy it, why stop? So
Absolutely.
yeah. 1000. That's awesome. I love it. You guys are awesome. I mean, I can't wait to see what you guys have next. Do you have anything that you're working on next that you'd like to share? Any new shows, any things coming up?
Well, we've been in one of those writing blocks again for the last little bit. So we've got I think we've got 13 finished songs, but there's about 10 more that we've got just in our back pocket that we want to work on there, and some other very minuscule ideas even further down the line. But yeah, there's no end in sight right now.
Yeah.
I see. I love that.
We're playing at in Sudbury.
Yeah, we're playing at the Townhouse Tavern. We're opening for a band called the Fortunate Losers on November 25th. So
they're pretty notable in Ontario.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be a good night.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that. Is there any quote or like, and I'm a quote person. I just love hearing, like anything that sticks to you throughout, like it could be a person someone who inspired you, that you hear this and it kind of just makes you like, I don't know, just feel like, okay, I can keep going. Is there like a quote or a saying that sticks with you?
I remember sitting in a Dairy Queen parking lot with my father, and we were listening to Van Halen. And this is actually just only a couple of years ago. And he was telling me like their whole story and how when rock was kind of being pushed out at that time, they kind of came back and did what they did, which is huge. They're like, my dad was like, I don't think anyone else is going to do that. Yeah. But someone could. And that just stuck with me. He was like, yeah, someone could. Because we're all human.
Exactly.
That's
I love that. That's great.
Folks, That's another really good question. I like you've hit us with like a couple ones that we like weren't expecting. Like you typically get the where are you from? How did you guys form? But like you got the hard hitting questions that are really making us think. I appreciate that.
He hates them.
Yeah, no, you might see some smoke start coming out of my ears. Can anyone else think of a quote or like?
Anything.
Well, you know what? I know one of the probably the one that I'm thinking of the most. There's a band from Toronto from the late '60s. They were called McKenna Mendelssohn Mainline, and this album circulates at some of the record stores in Ontario, but it didn't do incredibly well outside of Ontario. But the band broke up in the early '70s. But when I was about 12 or 13, I was really into their first couple albums, and was just going on Facebook, and I found out that Mike McKenna, the guitar player, was doing a show in Toronto, and he was still playing. I said, "Wow, that's insane!" So I got these tickets, and I idolized this band, and we pull up, and it kind of is just like a little bar, something that we would play, and he's kind of just looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I'm just like marveling over this guy, and he's not seen it in years, I guess, which is kind of funny thinking in retrospect. But I remember him just telling me to keep at it, and that whatever you can make out of it is just good for you. And he it was not like he was on a stage or anything. Like he just came, he talked to me, he got like every member of the band to sign a poster I had and all my albums, and it was just being able to talk to him in a setting like that at that age definitely inspired me to still be doing it now.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love those moments. I always say that it's definitely kind of tells you like, okay, I'm on the right track. Like when you have those little pockets in your life, like those people that come and say something, or it could be like a little saying, it just, I don't know, it just sticks with you. And it's like, oh, okay, I can keep doing this. I can keep going. That, I guess it's encouragement. So yeah, I love hearing that. And sorry for the hard questions, but it just, I love I just love hearing stories, and everyone's like has their, I take things away from each interview. So I thank you for sharing those moments with me. I appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. 30 minutes literally goes by so fast. Literally, it's over. Thank you so much for coming on, and please come back in the future. Whatever else you have that you're working on, we'd love to have you back. Where can people find you guys on social media to follow you guys?
You can find us on Instagram at official.heatstroke, on Facebook at Heatstroke. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, just as Heatstroke. Our YouTube channel, Official Heatstroke. Our website is officialheatstroke.com. Yeah.
Pretty official.
It's not the fake one. You're not gonna get any knockoff Heatstroke.
Right. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.